Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're starting off high energy. We got a lift in this morning. Feeling strong, feeling the pump. Let's go. Good morning. Good morning everybody. Welcome back. I honestly kind of forget how difficult it is to have energy when talking in front of this camera. It's kind of crazy because you're not getting like the social feedback from people like laughing at your jokes and people smiling at you open. So honestly kind of the same as usual, but put that aside because we're high energy today. We're excited. We're going to be talking about depressing topics with a smile on our face today because today the topic of this video is kind of honestly what I led into this with. We're going to talk about isolation, anxiety, what it's like, how being alone kind of ups anxiety, ups social anxiety, that sort of topic. Kind of what I was talking about at the start of this video. You're not getting the social feedback. You're not getting people laughing at your jokes. You're not getting people smiling at you. It's like talking to a camera all the time. You're just sitting in your room, scrolling through your phone. But before we jump into that, I think it's important we talk about this. The internet is a dangerous place. Child predators, scammers, Vosh fans, and just going online, you're exposing your data to all of these people. No protection. And that's why I use Express... No, just kidding. Sorry. Do you think I get sponsors? I am a schizo ranter on YouTube with like under 500 subscribers at the moment. So I would love sponsors though. So if ExpressVPN sees this and they liked that intro, oh man, just wait. Wait till you see what I can do with your company. I will broadcast your message just straight from the heart because I love whatever company wants to pay me money. I need money. No, I don't need money. I'm fine. I got a job, dude. Fuck this. I just want to schizo rant on YouTube because I don't go to therapy anymore, so how else am I supposed to talk about my emotions? Okay, let's get into the video because we did a 2-minute intro just then. What are we doing? Let's get into it. So let's take a breath because I've been talking fast. Alone time in general is a very good thing. Self-reflection, introspection, contemplation, just time to like recharge your social batteries. It's good. And I think a lot of people who are ultra extroverted and scared of that, they just don't want to sit with their own thoughts because their own thoughts can be depressing. But that's life. That's fun too. But you do need time to like self-reflect, to improve yourself, plan out your life, think about your goals, think about your aspirations. All of that's just a beautiful thing. However, too much time alone, as I started to figure out since moving, because I'm like, my job doesn't start yet, and I'm at a house with no roommates right now. They're coming later, so we'll be fine. But too much alone time is not the best thing. And like, I'm seeing people, I'm meeting up with people, but sitting in your room all day and just kind of thinking about things, it's not the best. Isolation gives you a lot of time to just contemplate, and that's good in short spurts or certain amounts of time. However, it can also lead to heavy self-analysis and self-criticism. And it just makes you start to regret things that you did in the past as you start to think about those things and see how you're kind of fitting into a certain archetype and your behavior and personality just becomes kind of like this predictable thing that's easy to make fun of. Because when you analyze anyone's personality, nobody is like truly unique in that sense. Like you're kind of taking bits and pieces from different characters that you've seen or people online or people in movies. So you can start to see that in yourself and you're like, oh fuck, I am just like this person in this movie and that person's kind of weird. I don't know if I want to like give that energy off. And it also starts to produce anxiety about the future because you're like, I don't really know if I like myself. I don't know if I like this personality that I'm giving off, and self-doubt, which is not necessarily the best thing because when you're hyper analytical of yourself, you're not actually getting the positive reinforcement that comes with being social. So basically, I watched this Dr. K video recently, and he was talking about, and this was something that really stuck with me, he was talking about how going into your analytical brain stops you from noticing social cues that are supposed to like make you feel better about yourself. So like, for example, someone smiling at you, open posture. And he was more saying this in terms of like when you go into a social setting, start to like look out for those things in other people. But when you're isolated, when you're alone, you're not noticing those at all because all you have is your own thoughts. Your analytical brain is oh god, I forget the specifics, but he was talking about how it's like connected to the amygdala, which is like the fear, which is like your fear processor in your brain, and all those different things. So when you're just sitting in your room self-analyzing, you start to doubt yourself, you start to feel fear, you start to be scared of those social situations just naturally. And if you just want to look into studies, which I don't want to do for these videos. These are schizo rants, dude. These are not supposed to be high research video essays. No, I just want to talk into a camera and not edit. But I did look into a little bit of this, and there is a high correlation between loneliness and neuroticism, which makes a lot of sense from everything that I've seen in the world, from my perspective on things. So just sort of considering that, isolation does tend to produce high levels of anxiety. So you need to go get out there. You need to go talk to people and stop. And when you do go out there as well, you need to get off your phone and actually, like, instead of like thinking about what other people might be thinking, just watch their body language, and you'll start to get those positive reinforcement mechanisms. Just because that's what naturally humans are supposed to do. You're not supposed to be sitting and thinking all the time. You're supposed to be engaged in the moment, noticing things that other people are doing, and stop criticizing yourself. In my most neurotic times, I notice that when I'm watching movies, for example, I'll see a character who is just this absurd stereotype, like just this absurd archetype, and you start to like identify with that. You start to see like, oh wait, I kind of do this sometimes, and then you start framing your own personality through this, and you start spiraling and thinking like, oh my god, I am just like this person. And like you're archetyping yourself, which is not a good thing. I think self-definition, while it can be helpful for like establishing identity, excessive self-definition can be very limiting. Like if you say, I'm an introvert, just because you're uncomfortable with social settings, and you're giving yourself an excuse not to step out of your comfort zone. You're like, oh, I'm just an introvert, I need alone time. Same with extroverts. It's like, oh, I need to get out there and I can't sit alone with myself for a while. But that's a kind of a tangent. Yeah. So basically, along with this, I just kind of wrote this outline. So we kind of talked about just generally like the theory behind this, why isolation can make you more anxious and more self-doubting. And now I just kind of want to talk about personal experience, because as I said before, this YouTube channel, I don't have therapy anymore, dude. We got free therapy at university, which was super nice. So I go to that sometimes. I don't know if it really helped, but it is nice to tell girls on dates like, oh yeah, I used to go to therapy. I've been to therapy, because then they're like, oh, this guy's not going to trauma dump on me. It's not going to be one of those situations where he's just trying to use me as his therapist, because vulnerable men aren't attractive. It's really interesting. Like, girls will say like, oh, they want a vulnerable guy. They want a guy with emotions, but they don't really want to deal with that. Come on, you know that. Sorry, but no, they'll say the right things in the moment, but it's interesting how after you start to be more vulnerable, the conversations become less frequent, and also start to become drier. But anecdotes aren't data, but it is interesting how it's happened so many times. Also, wait, I just kind of realized this while I'm talking about this. What I just did there kind of goes, oh my god, it goes hand in hand with what I was talking about in that video that I did before, the empowerment through deprecation thing. Do you see what happened there? That's interesting. I'm going to leave that in because holy shit, I'm doing it too. But this idea of like empowering men's emotions by deprecating how women receive them, that is dangerous. Holy shit. Okay. I was being a little hyperbolic just to be funny, but it is interesting how I was trying to go watch that last video, because I think it's interesting what I just did there, because you're like expressing how I'm trying to like hype, but it's all also based on like bad dating experience, which was one of my like final conclusions there, because it's like it's happened multiple times, because multiple times in dating experience I'll start to open up and see that they'll start to like pull away, but it's not always in dating too, it's sometimes with friends, but whatever. It's interesting because those dynamics with the opposite gender, that's really interesting. It's interesting how even as I'm aware of it, my brain wants to do that. Just like deprecate the other gender to empower myself and empower my own emotions, because that's not what it's actually about. It's like more of a trauma response to bad experiences that you've had in the past. I'm gonna try to stop doing that. I do need to stop doing that. But okay, that was all very much a tangent. So we're gonna talk about the personal experiences and I'm gonna leave that in because I think that's actually important to talk about. And if you want to hear more about that, go watch that last video. It was my first time in front of a camera for a while, so it's a little bit low energy. No, I think it was good actually. I watched it back and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I actually do sound pretty good. But okay, personal experience. When I'm more alone and isolated, I tend to start doubting myself and my own personality a lot more often. So when like what I was talking about before, I'll start to identify with these sort of archetypical, is that even a word? Archetypical people, like these archetypes that you see in movies, and you're like, oh, these people are kind of weird. Maybe I'm kind of weird. And everyone's kind of weird. So it's easy to start to identify with this if you think about yourself and your past a lot. So then, especially with new people, I'll notice that I just become shut off. Like I'll try to engage, but I genuinely just feel uncomfortable, just this vague sense of discomfort. And I want to just be quiet, maybe like slightly engage, but I feel like people can tell that I'm a lot more shut off. I'm better around people that I'm already friends with, but it's the new people that are tough because I'm like, old people already know me and I know that they kind of accept the ways in which I'm weird. But new people, wow, they're going to see exactly how I embody all of these archetypes and they're going to analyze my personality so much, just like I've been doing in these isolated times. No, that doesn't really happen. Just be yourself, dude. Fuck it, dude. Just be the weird person. Be the weird archetypical person. But yeah, that's one example. I think you become a lot more socially anxious when you're more isolated. And also, social skills are a muscle. Like that, you have to keep working at that. You have to keep putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations to be more confident in yourself in those sort of settings. Okay, that's one point. And then another experience that I've had, I noticed that I become a lot more desperate for validation in these experiences, just into like an attempt to become more social. Because I'll see that I'm isolating myself and I'll notice that and be like, I need to reach out to people. I need more people in my life. So then I will constantly reach out and almost like beg people to hang out for me. Like, please hang out with me. I need you in my life. And I'll just become desperate almost. And I think that probably comes off as kind of weird. Just desperate for validation, desperate for people listening to me. And I'll notice myself doing this too in the moment. That's the issue with being overly self-reflective, because you start to just apologize for and then apologize for apologizing. You're like, oh, I'm kind of being weird right now. I'm saying too much. I'm coming off too desperate. Sorry for that. Maybe they probably didn't even notice that. And they're like, why the fuck is he apologizing? He's just being a person. And then you realize that they're thinking that because of the way they respond. And then you're like, oh shit, I'm sorry for oh wait, I shouldn't be apologizing. And then it's just out of control. It's just all this apologetic bullshit. And it pushes people away, I think. It really does. Because people don't want to hang around somebody who's just like constantly apologizing and being like that. Like it's okay for a little bit. And it's nice for people to be vulnerable, but it's difficult. You have to kind of keep things to yourself sometimes, I think. Which is not, yeah, that's not entirely true, because being vulnerable, it's like a balance. It's a weird balancing act, because you can't be the type of person who is just always constantly complaining about their life and constantly opening up emotionally, because that just sounds insecure. But you also can't like entirely shut yourself off and just constantly like fake a happiness that is unrealistic as well, because that also comes off as insecure, because it's like you don't want people to see your vulnerability. So it's a really weird balancing act that I don't think I've figured out. But also, I'm only 22. Like, that's kind of what life is about. You're just like figuring out all these weird balancing acts of how to, yeah, balance like your emotions and social skills and all that weird stuff. And it's complicated. I might like I genuinely might feel kind of autistic in some of these moments when I'm like thinking about over analyzing these social settings, because I don't know, for some reason it doesn't come super natural to me. But I don't think it comes natural to anybody at the end of the day. It feels like we're all sort of just faking it to an extent to get by. But maybe I'm just being like fake deep and like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. That's just something I've been thinking about lately. And I think nice to talk about in these videos because I think isolation has become more and more common. Social atomization has become a major problem in the world. Just with social media, with, yeah, the way people, it seems like, from my perspective, people are spending a lot more time just by themselves, kind of, on their phones, scrolling through, watching YouTube videos. And it's not, and a lot of people have expressed this anxiety. And a lot of people talk about how they feel like they need to get off their phones because but that might be a topic more for another video. But more of what I want to talk about here is just isolation does lead to anxiety. So seriously, go reach out to like that friend. Go reach out to you're probably thinking of someone right now who you haven't talked to in a while. Go reach out to a friend. Go reach out to somebody. Try to get out of your house more. I think that's one of the messages that I kind of want this channel to focus on now that I'm coming back. Like, I think people need to kind of get offline and go outside, and like everybody talks about this, but how do you actually do that in this world where social media has become so addicting and it's become a lot tougher to go out and meet people? Like, even dating now is mostly through these social apps. Like, I've seen some statistics where it's like 44% of young couples are like meeting on social media. I need to look more into that though, because that's just kind of like an offhand statistic that I'm remembering. So go fact check me on that. And also, like, if you disagree with me on anything or want to criticize me on anything in this video or any of my videos, I should say this at some point. Like, please do that. I create this channel more to express thoughts and to improve my ability to understand the world, understand myself, understand what's going on. And I can't really do that if nobody is pushing back when I say something stupid. Because I'm probably going to say stupid shit. But yeah, okay. But I think that's enough. I think spent enough time on the internet today. Like I said in the last video, I think it's time to go outside, go eat, go do whatever the fuck I want to do. I need to get out of my room or just read. Honestly, look at that book sitting right on your nightstand right now. I have one down there too. I think it's time. Just get off your phone, pick up that book. Let this be your reminder to go pick up that book if you stayed this long. But awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. Kind of glad to be back. It is enjoyable to do these types of videos, even if it's a little uncomfortable at first. It'll be nice to get back into the rhythm, and I want to start doing this more. I already have. Let me think. I have 4 more videos planned right now. Like, I've just been writing outlines in my notepad on my phone right now. So if you ever see me like looking at my phone and like scrolling through stuff, that's me scrolling through an outline that I wrote. But yeah, awesome. Let's end this intro now. I'm gonna go read. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Peace.